dodge bullets, baby.
This is beyond fairy tale. It's inconceivable.
There it is. Doyle's done it. This is the greatest sport in the world.
From a field of nearly 7,000, just 79 remain.
A lot more poker to play, boys.
And in this battle for poker's ultimate prize, the spotlight shines brightest on one man, Phil Hellmuth.
I don't like the way you play poker.
When last we saw him, he was at his Phil worst.
This is how I lose my money, to some idiot.
Losing chips and his temper.
You are an idiot!
Now his focus must shift to collecting himself and a bracelet. The run for the final table begins.
Yes!
Yeah! Hey, boys!
Tonight, survival is no longer enough.
To you, it's poker, man. To me, this is my life.
Welcome to the World Series of Poker, presented by Milwaukee's Best Light. I'm Lon McCarran, along with Norman Chad. After the fireworks of Day 5, the main event resumes here at the Rio as 79 players are one step closer to the $9 million grand prize.
Look at all them chips you got.
Tiffany Michelle has over $3 million in chips. She and Lisa Parsons each hope to be the second woman ever to sit at a main event final table. Another interesting duo are two childhood friends, Justin Scott and Dean Hamrick. At table 2 is tournament leader Mark Ketteringham with almost 6 million chips. And out in the field is the one-time chip leader, Christian Dragomir, fresh off his big win against and verbal abuse from the man at our featured table, Phil Hellmuth.
The Poker Brat received a 9-hand penalty for his outburst against Christian Dragomir. Hellmuth appealed. The penalty was overturned, so Phil starts day 6 in action.
Phil's dreams of winning a second World Series main event bracelet are still alive.
Little brawl going on here last night. Anybody read that write-up last night? No? The 10-4? The 10-4?
Christian Dragomir was very successful playing the 10-4 a couple of times on day 5.
The big re-raise?
No, he didn't move in. If he moved in, I wouldn't have been so upset.
It wasn't a brawl. It was simply Phil stepping out of bounds. Hellmuth excusing himself, but there is no excuse for his tirades.
On the E-Trade Financial chip count, you see Tiffany Michelle's chip stack good enough for 4th place. Other notable chip stacks right there. Phil Hellmuth starts the day with 721,000. The top stacks at this featured table belong to Irishman James McManus with more than 2.4 million. About the same total, Kelly Kim from Southern California and Jason Riesenberg from right here in Las Vegas with 2.2 million.
And the international trend we have seen the last few years continues. 1/3 of the remaining players in the main event are foreign-born.
Action on James McManus on the Milwaukee's Best Light Pocket Cam, Queen 6 offsuit.
At 23, he's one of the youngest left in the field, and McManus has a chance to beat Phil Hellmuth's record as youngest main event champion ever.
He raises it to 77,000. Phil Hellmuth looks down at come on, Phil. King Queen offsuit.
I don't know what to do with Phil, Lon. Even if his outbursts weren't against the rules, Phil's wrong. You just don't treat people that way.
He will call McManus's raise, and these two will be heads up to the flop. The flop is Jack 7 Queen. Each pair their queen. Phil has the better kicker. McManus first to act. Makes it 115,000. And Phil with an immediate call.
Phil minding his P's and Q's at the moment.
Turn card, 5 of clubs. No help to McManus, who's way behind. But McManus will bet it. Makes it 190,000. And Phil's right on his tail.
Phil wasting no time telling McManus, I have you in my sights, son.
River cards a king, and Hellmuth earns the check mark. He's got kings up, but there's a 3rd diamond on the board. McManus checks now.
Finally slows down. I gotta believe Phil likes his hand, but he might be worried about those diamonds and the straight draw out there.
He's got chips in his hand.
Oh, I'm not sure you can call. Let me just think.
Phil might be figuring if he bets, McManus will either fold or raise, so maybe he should play it safe.
I pretty much have the nuts, but I'll check.
Phil checks.
Got a queen.
1 pair for McManus, 2 pair for Hellmuth will win the pot.
Well, if Phil had served his penalty, he would have been blinded off 81,000 chips. Instead, he adds 400,000 chips to his stack. Big difference.
A better start to day 6 than an end to day 5 for Phil Hellmuth as he continues his pursuit of World Series history. Johnny Moss, Doyle Brunson, Stu Unger, Johnny Chan. That is the list of players who have won multiple main events, and that's about the only all-time list in which the name Phil Hellmuth is absent, but Norman, he's getting very close to that.
One day he may be #1 in main event titles. The Poker Brat already is top dog in World Series bracelets, final tables, and cashes. Plus, he's the career leader in temper tantrums. What, you think DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak is untouchable? Hellmuth's temper tantrum number is so high, I've lost count.
Phil does claim that he is later ashamed of flying off the handle, yet it does happen tournament after tournament. All right, let's jump to an outer table. We learn that Victor Ramden is all in against Suresh Prabhu. Ramden with a flush draw has the best chance of winning the hand, but Prabhu leads right now with pocket fives after the flop.
Remember, Ramden donates 25% of his poker earnings to charity. He primarily helps children with medical needs in his native Guyana.
And he picks up an 8 on the turn to take the lead.
And now that means Prabhu can only knock out Ramden with one card, the 5 of diamonds.
River's a 9 of hearts. Ramden ends up with a flush. He doubles up and stays alive in this main event. All right, let's go over to table 2. We find some familiar faces sitting there. Las Vegas pro Michael Carroll and the day 5 chip leader, Jeremy Joseph. They are both bystanders to the pre-flop action between Brandon Cantu with pocket aces and the chip leader on the day, Mark Ketteringham, with pocket trays.
Heads up.
And here we go to the flop. It is ace, jack, deuce, and Cantu all but finishes this hand with a set of aces.
Cantu, a self-taught poker madman, no training sites, no poker books.
350.
Ketteringham checked. Cantu bets 350. And the biggest stack in the room wants to play big stack poker, raises to $1 million.
Well, Brandon gets re-raised a lot because of his aggressive reputation. Ketteringham trying to bluff him here.
I call.
And Brandon calls. Ketteringham can't like that.
Oh, Cantu will play it coy. He's got Ketteringham nailed.
Turn card now, a 5. Ketteringham with a gut shot straight draw.
What do you got left?
That inquiry just might be a ploy to slow Brandon down.
Just under. Like 940.
Ketteringham checks.
He's sitting on just a pair of 3s. He'd need a 4 to make a straight.
Lower.
Brandon with a set of aces moves all in.
Ketteringham can't be long for this hand.
And he does give it up wisely.
Well, you never know what Cantu has. The chip leader picked a bad time there to pick on Brandon.
Cantu's been flirting with a chip lead for a couple of days. He just took a bite out of the biggest stack there. Out in the field, David Chino Ream is in a pot with Bob Whalen after the flop of 6-deuce-8. Whalen has bet $450,000.
Just trying to figure out if I got the best hand or not.
Well, what else would you be trying to figure out at the moment, Chino? Jeez.
All right, I'm all in.
Chino Ream pushes all in.
I call.
And Whalen calls.
You got the best hand, sir.
All in call. Green.
Let's see what they got. 7 deuce for a pair of deuces for Chino and pocket jacks for Whalen.
Well, Chino tried to muscle up on the shorter stack. What I love about Chino is he's very aggressive, and when it backfires, he just casually moves on.
Chino in deep trouble. Whalen with a prime opportunity to double up. Now the turn card. Is a 7 and 2 pair for Ream to take the lead.
Oh, Chino gets very lucky. Now Whalen will need a jack, 6 or 8 to stay alive.
River card is a tray, and that's going to do it. Chino Ream wins the hand. Whalen, the first player eliminated on day 6.
Chino Ream living large, getting lucky.
Wow. So Bob Whalen wins over $77,000 for his efforts here in the main event.
Living good, boys. Living good. Playing bad, making moves, living good.
When the good players get lucky, watch out, world.
We play because poker's not a scratch-off ticket, a half-court jumper, or a knock on wood. It's no game of luck, poker. It's a game of patience and well-timed aggression. We know when we play, a little luck helps. But luck can't explain why final tables have so many familiar faces. We play at FullTiltPoker.com.
The 2008 World Series of Poker, presented by Milwaukee's Best Light. Main event.
Phil Hellmuth, 11 World Series of Poker bracelets, countless World Series tirades.
The guy can't even spell poker.
Oh, this idiot. Supposed to be great players. They suck.
And this year, 2 rants stand out above the rest.
How did
these players even last this long? Idiot players.
Adam Levy was the first to feel his ire.
This kid probably won't last another hour.
If it was like anyone else, I would definitely not be just taking it.
How are they even still in this tournament?
But if it's Phil, it's just more of like a show.
And with Christian Dragomir, Helmuth took it to another level.
You are an idiot. Buddy, you're an idiot. Worst player in history, and they're cheering.
That made me mad.
You are an idiot.
It's my right to play my cards however I want.
Christian's call of Phil's pre-flop raise with 10-4 at the end of day 5 really pushed Phil over the edge and put him in rare form. Speak of the devil.
I'm sorry. Yesterday, my fault. Sometimes I'm just too much of a jerk.
No, you're not.
Sometimes I'm too much of the poker brat. So my fault. I apologize. Sit down. Don't miss your hand.
I thought
That's okay. No problem, man. It was my fault. You really didn't do anything wrong. I just I play so hard for 5 or 6 days, and then to have that happen just freaked me out a little bit. But
Even when Phil apologizes, it comes with an asterisk. In Phil's world, it's always about Phil. And hey, I'm sure Adam Levy will get his apology in the mail.
Let's go to table 2 and catch up with Jeremy Joseph, whose pocket queens lost some of their appeal when an ace flop to put Dennis Phillips in the lead. Joseph check called for $200,000 after the flop. Turn card now is a deuce of diamonds. No help to Jeremy Joseph. Joseph checks. Phillips now checks back. River card's a jack of clubs. Ace is up for Phillips. He gets the check mark. But you see 4 clubs on the board, but Joseph's going to bet $500,000.
The 23-year-old has played loose and fast and put a lot of pressure on his opponents. And right now, those $500,000 chips are advertising a flush to Dennis Phillips.
Phillips with 2 pair.
show me.
Wow, his instincts are right. He makes the call.
Good tough call from the trucking account manager.
Phillips will take that pot, and it's tough times for the former chip leader, Jeremy Joseph.
That was either a good call or a donkey call, and I wasn't for sure which.
It's a good call when you're dragging in 1.7 million chips.
Out to the field, Tiffany Michelle with a top 5 chip stack, squaring off against Mike Matiso after the river. They had checked the turn.
Tiffany's been running real good the last couple of days.
Matiso bets $225,000.
The mouth bets almost half the pot.
Tiffany Michelle now.
2 pair.
Makes the call.
Mike.
The turn and river, very good to Matiso. He got his 2 pair.
I was giving it up if you bet the turn. I was done with it.
So a bit of a slip for Tiffany Michelle, but the news is worse for the only other woman left in the field. Lisa Parsons pushed all in with jacks pre-flop. Owen Crow called with aces. Parsons at risk.
Parsons started the day as one of the 10 shortest stacks in the room, has gotten nothing going, and Tiffany Michelle is an interested third party.
So Parsons at risk, trailing the aces of Crow. And now the flop. Queen 5-5, Crow still ahead.
Crow's aces up are in command. Lisa's got that look. She knows she's about to go home. She needs to get lucky.
Turn card is a deuce, and she needs it right away.
Tiffany Michelle now 1 card away from being the last woman standing. Lisa Parsons needs a jack and a jack only, or her main event is over.
River card is a 9, and Lisa Parsons eliminated in 76th place.
Good job.
A strong finish for the amateurs' first main event.
I think that's me. I think I'm it.
Always it, baby.
I guess there's no real traveling sisterhood here.
Next year.
Let's hope so.
So Tiffany Michelle, now the last woman standing, and the pressure sits squarely on her shoulders alone to perhaps make main event history. Back inside the Rio, Brandon Cantu has pushed all in on the turn with a pair of 9s and a flush draw against David Benefield, who just hit a straight. Benefield had bet $335 on the turn. Brandon re-raised all in.
I don't think I can bet fold. I call.
So Benefield calls. He is at risk.
Cantu again here with a high wire act.
Red card.
Benefield needs to dodge a jack or a club to double up.
River card. is a club, and Can-Do hits the flush to knock off the talented young pro from Fort Worth, Texas.
Outplayed again.
Well, he wasn't outplayed. He was out-Can-Do'd.
We have seen Brandon knock someone out with 8-5. Now it's a flush on the river to eliminate Benefield.
Well, I'm going to hit the nuts, of course. I mean,
So we take a look at the E-Trade Financial chip count, and after that win, Brandon Can-Do now in third place. Dennis Phillips is the chip leader. Among notable players, Tiffany Michelle with $3.8 million. Phil Hellmuth over $900,000 right now. All right, let's go back over to our featured table, and we find that James McManus from Ireland has been eliminated in 71st place. It was Phil Hellmuth who made the big dent in his chip stack early in the session, but ultimately Andrew Roskam scored the final knockout. Of course, on November 11th, you can see the Main Event World Championship bracelet awarded to our new champion.
$9 million to the winner. I expect a cut.
All right, action continues now at our featured table. The blinds at 15 and 30,000. Phil Hellmuth. Phil with ace queen offsuit.
What are we going to do with Phil? Greatest record in World Series history, but when he acts the way he acts, what else are we going to talk about?
From the small blind, he will limp in to Alan Kennedy. In the big blind, he has 7-5.
Remember, Kennedy, a Camp Hellmuth grad.
Yeah, and he switched out his signature Phil Hellmuth sunglasses for some reason. Flop is Jack 7-6. Kennedy leads with a pair of 7s.
Now, see, Phil didn't raise Kennedy out. He just got out flopped, and eventually it will be Alan Kennedy's fault.
They both check the flop. Turn card is another 7. Trips for Kennedy, gives him the check mark. Phil, first to act, reaching for chips, will bet $40,000.
Well, the world's greatest Hold'em player is drawing dead and leading out.
I'll show this one. Let's go to the next stand.
I'll go.
Oh, my God.
Kennedy just with a call.
What did I get myself into here? It was such a perfect little trap here. Might have trapped myself.
Phil talking about a trap that is not existent in this hand.
Might have trapped myself.
Alan makes the call. All right, now the river card is an 8 of clubs. Kennedy already had the check mark. Hellmuth now checks.
Hellmuth gives up on the trapping scam.
Kennedy now with his 3 7s. That's $80,000. Phil folds his ace queen face up.
That ended abruptly and quietly.
And Kennedy will take his former instructor's chips.
Come on, man. Come on. Just trying to trap my buddy from Georgia.
Do you think I'm actually staying in with nothing?
You had
think
to.
I'm staying in with nothing?
You had to. Before the flop, I made you.
Well, hey, you gave me that chance. I mean, damn.
My goodness, almost a civil conversation. See, buddy, you can do it.
All right, Phil frustrated out there. Meanwhile, another battle of the blinds in the field between David Saab and Albert Kim. All the cards are out. Saab just bet $350. Kim announces a raise. He's going to make it $1 million now total.
Aggression meets aggression.
Wow.
Should have given me a walk.
Well, you should have given me the walk. I didn't actually have the option because I'm big blind and you're small blind, in case you don't know that.
You always have the option to fold.
At which point, when you limp into me and so I can check behind, I should just open fold. I call.
What?
Show me a full house.
There you go.
Kim's got the full house.
He asked to see a full house, and Albert Kim obliged. He should ask to see a bluff next time.
Kim hit runner for that full boat. Meanwhile, Saab rivered a straight that came up second best. All right, let's get our action back over to table 2, where bracelet winner Thomas Keller is now seated. Keller will make his introductions and watch as 3 others at his table with big hands contend for a big pot. After the turn, former chip leader Mark Ketteringham has aces up, but he's going to hate to see Sean Davis with a set of 8s. And then there's Geert Anderson, who is ahead of them both, holding an ace-high straight. Anderson just checked. Action on Davis, who now bets $900,000 with his 3 8s. Now to Ketteringham.
All in.
With aces up, he moves all in. Over $2 million.
Well, Anderson's not going anywhere. At the moment, he has the nuts.
All in.
And Anderson moves all in.
And now Davis has to decide whether he wants to risk everything. He's getting 6-1 on his money. It's a massive pot, but with 2 all-ins in front of him, Davis has to figure his bottom set is no good.
I call also.
But Davis will call. 2 players at risk.
I think I got the worst hand.
Yeah, Anderson and Davis at risk. Davis with the shortest stack.
Gotta have a set. You had to have a set.
Davis would have been left with 1,000,000 chips if he folded. If the board doesn't pair, Anderson will win the biggest pot of the tournament.
River card is a 5 of spades. Anderson will win that 7 million chip pot. Sean Davis eliminated in 69th place.
What a three-way.
This Poker Fact is brought to you by FullTiltPoker.net. There are over 10,000 ways to make a straight in poker. Indeed, 5 cards line up in many different ways.
The 2008 World Series of Poker, presented by Milwaukee's Best Light. Main event.
Welcome back to the Rio and the 2008 main event. Let's get right to the featured table. And Phil Hellmuth. Phil's got a deuce. Phil has ace-deuce.
Since winning the big one in '89, Phil's made it back to the main event final table only once in 2001. He finished 5th.
A raise to 90,000 to his buddy Alan Kennedy with Queen 10. And Kennedy makes the call.
So the Camp Hellmuth grad will come along with the Camp Hellmuth founder.
Jack deuce 9, Hellmuth pair of deuces, up and down straight draw for Kennedy.
See how Phil teaches that posture at Camp Hellmuth?
They both check. Still a 50-50 proposition. 8 of hearts and a straight hits Kennedy.
Yahtzee for Kennedy.
Hellmuth, though, drawing dead and betting again.
Yeah, the world's greatest Hold'em player, Lon, drawing dead and leading out again.
Kennedy comes along just for the call.
Well, I guess the student learned how to trap at Camp Hellmuth.
River card now is an ace. Phil catches aces up, but that's not going to be good enough.
And that's really not good for Phil. He's been betting with bottom pair, so he certainly might want to bet with aces up now.
175.
And he will, 175,000.
And Kennedy, of course, with the straight, he knows his hand is good unless Phil was on a diamond draw.
I'm all in.
All in.
I guess he doesn't figure it Phil for a diamond draw.
No immediate eruption from Phil.
175 is in.
Here we go, Thomas.
Remember, Adam Levy also had Queen 10 against Phil, hit a straight on the turn, and that caused an eruption.
Either he's got me or he doesn't.
I guess it's still 50-50. He's going to win or lose.
Boy, oh boy.
Phil calls.
We got straight.
Phil makes the call.
Another Queen 10.
Allen rolls up.
Boom, baby.
Hellmuth trying to hold it together.
Has to be careful. He's been warned once already by tournament officials.
Touchdown, Georgia, baby.
Go Bulldogs!
He called a raise with Queen 10 offsuit. The same thing the first day.
There we go.
Oh my God, in heaven. I guarantee I didn't teach you that at Camp Hellmuth.
No.
This isn't the agony of defeat. This is the agony of being Phil.
Hellmuth eager to give others advice even when unsolicited, but we solicited the advice of top pros to make you a better player in this edition of The Nuts.
Instantly, you would be a better poker player if...
well, in 10 seconds.
Let's see.
Okay. Go with your instinct. Whatever your first impression is, we'll follow it because it's usually the right one.
There it is! Doyle's done it!
There's no such thing as being too aggressive. You want them to be worried about what you have. You don't want to be the one doing the worrying because that gives you wrinkles.
Real simple here. Play fewer hands, bluff less often.
The only way to become a better poker player is to play more hours.
Maybe stick to the top 10 hands. She called a race with a queen and a 10.
Relax, let the game come to you. The cards are going to come.
No!
Let the game come to you, and you'll be a much better poker player.
I'm a poker player. You just sit there like a nit.
Real simple. When they check, you bet. When they bet, you raise. When they raise, you move all in. Poker's that simple. That wasn't 10 seconds? Oh, man.
My advice to Phil would be go play video poker. No idiots and no bad beats on a video poker machine, but don't forget to bring quarters.
I can't get a penalty. I can't tell him what he really is.
He raises to 100,000.
I can't tell him the truth. I can't say it. They're going to give me a penalty.
Better keep a cork in it. Now we find Justin Scott awaiting his fate. He pushed all in after flopping a pair of 9s. Albert Kim called him with pocket aces. Queen on the turn doesn't help Scott.
Justin Scott needs a 9 on the river to stick around.
River card is a 10, and Justin Scott eliminated in 67th place from the main event. Albert Kim gets a little richer. And Justin Scott will go over and say goodbye to his childhood friend Dean Hamrick.
Get him. I'll be rooting for you.
They both went to the same high school, so now with Hamrick left in, I guess he is the pride of Redford Union High. Back to the featured table. Wonder if Phil has calmed down yet.
Queen and a 10.
Suffering in the corner.
It's just unbecoming of a player of his stature. He needs an intervention.
All right, action at this table begins with Kelly Kim, ace-king offsuit.
Kim finished 398th at the 2005 main event.
He's got an economics degree from UC San Diego. He raises to $100,000. Larry Wright now with Jack 9 of diamonds. Contractor from Montgomery, Alabama.
Wright owns a roofing company called Wright Roofing. Who couldn't see that coming?
All right, they'll go heads up to the flop. Flop is 10, deuce, queen. Queen 10, not a bad hand to play now. Rubs a little salt in Phil's wounds.
The queen 10 is plaguing Phil.
Both players picked up a straight draw. Wright's is up and down. Kim a gut shot, but the higher of the 2 straight draws. Turn card now is a jack, and that's Broadway for Kelly Kim. Wright with a pair of jacks, but he's drawing dead, and he checks. Kim now, $150,000.
Kim's biggest worry right now might be a flush draw for Wright. Wright does not have a flush draw. Wright's only been playing poker for about a year and a half.
So action on Wright. And Wright's going to push all in.
I call.
And a quick call from Kim. He shows the ace-high straight. And Wright is drawn dead.
Insta call and an instant elimination.
Kelly Kim will win that pot and knock off Larry Wright from the main event. All that's left is the formality of the river card.
They shouldn't even bother. The dealer's only got so many river cards in his arm.
That's another jack. Wright ends up with trips, but not good enough to avoid elimination in 65th place.
Look at Phil. He looks like his wife left him, his dog died, and the guy next to him called a 90,000 chip raise with queen 10 off.
Phil will look up to see Kelly Kim adding to his stack and becoming a player to watch out for at this table.
The 2008 World Series of Poker, presented by Milwaukee's Best Light, main event.
Back inside the Rio, Victor Ramden's all in again, this time against Garrett Beckman, who has the pre-flop lead with jacks. Ramden hoping to get lucky with ace tray of hearts. The flop gives Beckman a set of jacks, but Ramden picked up a flush draw.
Ramden will need a heart that doesn't pair the board or running straight cards.
Turn card does pair the board. A full house for Beckman will end it right there. Ramden drawing dead and eliminated. We wish him continued success with his medical mission for children in his native Guyana. At another table, Tiffany Michelle is in a hand with Ivan Demidov. The river card has just come out. Action on Michelle. And she'll bet $800,000. Demidov from Moscow, Russia. Going to raise. Makes it $3 million total.
Tiffany has pushed the action a lot the last couple of days. Demidov pushes back harder.
Tiffany needs $2.2 million to call.
Both these players in their 20s, and we've seen it again and again. 20-somethings are aggressive.
And she will lay her hand down. And Demidov will take a pot worth 5.6 million chips. Tiffany Michelle, who started the day as one of the chip leaders, has had a rocky day 6 so far. All right, over at table 2, Thomas Keller has just been eliminated in 64th place at the hands of Jeremy Joseph. Joseph, a former chip leader, picking up a little steam again.
Maybe next year.
The 27-year-old Keller with his 4th career World Series cash, his first ever at the main event.
All right, let's get back to our featured table. A new player has joined this group, Nick Slowinski, with almost 4 million chips, 23 years old, from Pittsburgh, PA. Action on Kelly Kim, also known as KK, from Whittier, California. He's got a king. Kelly's going to slow roll us. He's got ace-king.
Kim is 31. Almost everyone left in the field in their 20s or 30s.
Raised to 90.
KK raises to 90,000.
Phil Hellmuth is one of the old men left at 43.
And action does fold around to the poker brat. Hellmuth looks down at a tray. He has pocket trays.
Oh, I have kind of a bad feeling about this hand.
Yeah, so just let it go.
No, I
Calls.
can't fold this hand ever.
The big blind, he calls for 60,000 more.
You can't fold it ever?
He'll go heads up against Kelly Kim. The flop, 6-5 king. Kim leads with a pair of kings. Hellmuth first to act. Goes for 90,000.
Phil should be whining about himself today. It just hasn't been one of his better days of poker.
Badly timed bets. Kim does call for 90,000.
I ran into Phil a little earlier. We have about 60 players left. He said 40 of them play bad.
A queen on the turn is no help to Hellmuth.
I check.
Card is the Queen of Hearts. Bill
Now
checks.
Kim with the top pair.
And he's confident it's good.
150,000.
Called me just to bluff me on 4th Street? Really?
Actually, he called you with the best hand.
Huh?
I wouldn't dare do that.
You knew what I had before the flop when I called, didn't you? It's Phil Hellmuth. I had to have at least a pocket pair. I'm not a queen 10 guy.
You ought to try it sometime.
Yeah, I tried it in my 20s. I got rid of that play when I was 21.
Phil cracks me up, and he cracks Alan Kennedy up.
Well, what can I do?
He calls.
You got me.
Confident his trays are good.
I check.
Checks in the dark.
Calls at 150.
Pair the board, please.
And checks.
River card does pair the board. Another queen, but king's up for Kelly Kim. Gives him the check mark. Phil already checked. Kim now bets 250,000.
Now, Phil gave Kim some information before. If Kim believes Phil had a pocket pair, Kim knows he can still beat Phil.
Hellmuth calls and loses again.
That's what we're talking about.
Kelly Kim on a nice run.
And another bad read from Phil Hellmuth.
I called you down. You know what I called you with?
What, 2 8s?
Nope, 2 3s.
Wow.
And that was a nice hand, KK.
Well, nice to hear the poker brat handing out some props for a change. But for Kelly Kim, there's one opinion he truly wishes he could hear. That of his late mother.
My mom actually passed away when I was in senior in high school, which was devastating. She had leukemia, and it just happened all of a sudden, you know. Before that happened, I was a spoiled baby. I'm complaining to her, why can't I have a car by now, blah, blah, blah. And I realized how much pain she's in, you know. And she refused to go to that. I just wish she was here to go. Next thing you know, she's in a coma, and it's like all of a sudden my whole world turned around. But it's part of life, you know, you get up from it. That experience there kind of made me who I am today, you know. Ultimately, it made me a better person because it made me not take for granted the things I have. You know, I'm a nice guy. I'm well-rounded, I think. I love my parents, my family. She'd be proud.
Kelly's mom would have loved the fact that her son went on to graduate college and earn an economics degree after she passed away. All right, let's go to the outer tables and the positive vibes of Mike Matisow, who's trying to knock out Jeremy Gobert.
I got it. You don't understand. Destiny. No, it's the new and improved Mike. It's the aura of invincibility.
Matisow with pocket jacks. Gobert ace-king. Pre-flop, Gobert at risk. All right, now the flop. And Mike flops a full boat.
Did I tell you?
And he wins the hand.
They can't beat me.
I'm starting to believe in Mike's power of positive thinking.
Gobert knocked out in 58th place.
I don't know if it's his aura or his aftershave, but it's working.
So Matisow knocks out Gobert. Payouts up to almost $116,000 now. Mike Matisow says that all the cards have brains and they come to people with positive energy.
Can you feel it?
Whatever works for you, Mike. Back at the Rio, the championship bracelet awaits only the most worthy on the E-Trade Financial chip count. Geert Anderson is top dog in the house right now. Other notables, Mike Matusow with 3.4 million chips. Over at table 2, the man who dominated that leaderboard for quite a while, Jeremy Joseph, has been eliminated. He was done in by the current chip leader, Geert Anderson. Jeremy gets some consolation from his girlfriend, Crystal. Out in the field, day 5, chip leader Christian Dragomir just bet $525,000 on the turn and awaits Tiffany Michelle's next move.
Dragomir says he does not like playing against women. Tiffany is a woman.
A woman with a lot of chips, and she will make that call for $525K.
These are two aggressive 20-somethings, and Tiffany will not give an inch.
River card now, 4 of diamonds.
All in.
Tiffany has moved all in.
And Dragomir shoots her an Ushka look.
She has Dragomir covered, so this would be for all of Dragomir's chips.
She check-called Christian on the turn, so he might be concerned she's got a monster.
And Dragomir will give it up. That fold cost him over 1 million chips, but a call might have cost him his tournament.
Tiffany, the last woman in the field, trying to hang with the boys here on day 6.
Elsewhere, we find Tiffany's good friend, Alex Althred, who has committed his last 500,000 chips to the pot, hoping his ace-king can beat Chris Klodnicki and his pocket 9s.
Althred, the World Series of Poker Academy coach. Klodnicki, a 23-year-old who finished second to Barry Greenstein and Raz earlier in this World Series.
Now the flop. Bad news for Althred.
Set of 9s. I hit the king, he hit his 9.
And Althred all but gone.
That, right?
Yep, Althred would need running kings or aces.
Turn card does him no good. Alex Althred knocked out of the main event. His students at the World Series of Poker Academy should be impressed with his 54th place finish.
Yeah, the coach talks the talk, and I guess he showed us he could walk the walk. Great run.
Alex will get a consolation hug from the last woman standing, Tiffany Michelle.
I know. Do me a favor, okay?
So Alex Althred knocked out of the main event. All right, let's get back to our featured table, and the headliner there, of course, the poker brat, Phil Hellmuth, on the Milwaukee's Best Light Pocket Cam. Phil, always slow to squeeze. Pocket 9s.
Hellmuth, the only one in this room who can win a second main event title, the only one who can win a 12th bracelet.
Phil limps in. Alan Kennedy's not going to join the party. He folds.
I think he folded queen 10.
Kelly Kim, 9 deuce of clubs in the small blind. Cost him $20,000 to call, and he limps in also. In the big blind, 35-year-old self-described ski bum from Truckee, California, Tony Scherer, with queen 10.
It's like a stacked deck. There's always a queen 10 against Phil.
He checks his option, 3 limpers to the flop. Flop is 4-10-7. Scherer paired that 10.
And the queen 10 always flops or turns a hand.
Kim checks. He missed the flop. Scherer with top pair checks as well. Hellmuth. He's not been checking a lot today.
65.
He's going to bet $65,000 with pocket 9s.
How many times have we seen him limp in instead of raising out the big blind? And then how many times have we seen him then bet with the worst hand?
Kim folded. Scherer now.
All in.
Moves all in on Hellmuth.
Raise all in.
I think I have money.
Another bad read.
I talked him into raising by acting weak on the flop and standing up. I gave him a false tell, but I'm strong.
Well, Phil's not that strong after the flop, and if he calls here for the rest of his chips, he could be out of the main event momentarily.
God, I'm just a little confused. I was trying to send him a weak tell. This is where I get confused and lose pots sometimes, because I'm really strong and I send the weak tell, and then they move in weak.
Key moment for Hellmuth, a decision for all his chips.
But you can have this one.
Phil was ready to fire, but after second thought, correctly folded. That is the planter's good instinct moment.
Oh, and if Scherer had showed the queen 10, lives could have been lost.
Hellmuth might have just saved his main event with that smart laydown.
The Planter's Good Instinct moment is brought to you by Planters. Instinctively good.
Is he bluffing? Could be. German Shepherds, huh? I don't trust Germans. 2 cards. Could mean anything. Let's raise the stakes, frighten them off. No one to play with! Darn.
So play online at partypoker.com. It's fun, it's easy, it's the world's largest poker room.
All right, okay.
Welcome back to the Rio, where Christian Dragomir with ace-queen is all in against Ivan Demidov. Demidov with pocket queens. He has the lead after the flop.
Demidov had re-raised from the small blind pre-flop, and Dragomir then pushed all in for his final million.
Turn card now. Is an ace, and Dragomir finds new life.
Does Dragomir know he hit the ace? I think he saw it. It was right in front of him. Demidov can only knock Dragomir out now with the case queen.
It is a 9, and now Dragomir can celebrate as he does double up through Ivan Demidov. Demidov had a top 10 chip stack before that hand. He's still very strong, though.
Dragomir usually demonstrative, but here he hits a 3-outer and just chews some gum.
All right, there is Geert Anderson, the chip leader, who paired his jack on the flop to lead Dennis Phillips and his ace-queen. Phillips checked the flop. Action on Anderson now. Reaching for some of those chips in his monster stack. 175,000.
400.
And a quick raise from Phillips.
The 50-somethings can get aggressive, too. Phillips with squadouche.
Yeah, just ace high with that raise. Anderson needs 225,000 more to call. He could sneeze and enough chips would come off for the call. And he will call.
Well, Phillips was just posturing. He cannot be happy that Anderson is coming along.
All right, now the turn card is another 4. Anderson still way ahead. Dennis Phillips, first to act.
700.
That's 700,000.
Phillips trying to muscle up and bluff the biggest stack in the room. He bluff raised on the flop, and now he bluffs at it again. Phillips flirting with danger.
Geert Anderson will fold to Dennis Phillips.
He just scallywagged the chip leader. That is a nice play.
Now I can breathe. Damn.
Phillips represented strength pretty much the whole way and took down that pot.
Well, Phillips has shown us he has some pep in his step.
All right, now we go to find Dean Hamrick in a 3-way pot with David Saab and Nikolai Losev. Action is on Saab with a board of 8-8 king.
I'm all in.
Saab moves all in for over $500,000.
Saab had about 15 big blinds left. He decides to push.
Action now on 27-year-old Russian player Nikolai Losev from Moscow. And Losev will make the call for 260,000 more. Dean Hamrick also in this hand, and he also makes the call.
And that's got to be at least one call too many for Saab's taste.
Saab at risk. Now the turn card. 10 of diamonds. Losev first to act. That's $500,000 into a side pot now with Hamrick.
Oh, that is bad news for David Saab.
Hamrick folds. And so now let's see the cards between Saab and Losev. Saab turns over aces, but Losev leads with trip 8s.
Oh, jeez. Losev was in the small blind with 8-6 suited. Now Saab needs an ace or he's done.
The river card is a tray. Losev wins the hand. The likable David Saab had his aces cracked and is knocked out in 46th place.
Now, pocket aces go down and David Saab goes out.
And Nikolai Losev is the new chip leader. So from the biggest stack back to the featured table where it has not been Phil Hellmuth Appreciation Day. He's lost about half his stack. There's a little more than 400,000 left. Action will begin with Phil. He's got an ace and a queen.
I'm all in.
All in.
Phil moves all in.
Phil with just 10 big blinds left, a time when you have to think about making a move. Ace-queen makes it an easy decision.
Action on Andrew Roskam with pocket jacks from Cleveland, Ohio.
Roskam, a former investment banker. He's set to attend Harvard Business School.
26 years old.
Honey, I'm all in, honey.
On the right, Phil's wife, Kathy, with his sister, Molly. And Roskam will make that call and put Hellmuth at risk.
Remarkably, Phil's been knocked out holding ace-queen in the last 2 main events.
Phil turns over 2 overcards, but he's going to need to catch to stay in the main event.
Hellmuth has had a rocky day, and he needs it to turn around right here, else he will be out.
Andrew Roskam with a chance to knock off the last remaining main event winner from this field.
And Hellmuth right now just seems melancholy, awaiting his fate.
It's the first time I've been in like 2 days, 3 days or something.
Phil just seems played out.
Let's see the flop, please.
All right, now the flop. Hellmuth at risk. 4 king tray. Roskamp still leads.
Phil's still looking for an ace or a queen, or running hearts or straight cards.
2 jacks still best for Andrew right now.
Hellmuth back to the table now for a closer look at this turn card. Turn is a 10 of hearts, and now with flush and straight draws, Phil Hellmuth.
That's a good sweat.
The one and only Phil Hellmuth with a lot of ways out now. The 89 champ needs an ace, a queen, a jack for a straight, or any heart to stick around for another title drive.
The river card, a deuce of spades, and Hellmuth is gone.
I get so unlucky in this tournament.
45th place for Hellmuth.
We give him a lot of grief deservedly, but you have to feel for Hellmuth at a moment like this. As he said, the World Series is his life.
It was a deep and volatile run in the main event for Phil Hellmuth, but now he must take the most painful walk in poker. Day 6 has been a bad day for many people. Quickly falling from the pit house to the poorhouse was former chip leader Mark Ketteringham. Adam Levy left this World Series in 48th place and with the honor of being victim to one of Phil Hellmuth's tirades. But few took elimination harder than Hellmuth himself.
I played better than all those players by far. It's not even close. And still I'm out.
Meanwhile, Christian Dragomir gets the last laugh. He not only got an apology from Phil, he outlasted him. Tiffany Michelle is the last woman standing, but she's certainly hoping for more. And 3 bracelet winners still remain, including Mike Matusow. More of Day 6 still to come as the march to the main event final table continues. For Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. See you next time from the World Series of Poker.